I mean, hey, guys, we're doing millions of damage. That's good, right? But at what expense? What costs? Huh? I'm not even moving, bro. I don't even need to cast my overdrive. I just said overdrive is useless. I should go pick up the life support. Now, guys, let me ask you a question. Am I wrong for doing this? Am I wrong for showcasing the flaw? They did this. DE did this. I'm just going off by their design. All right, this guy can kill me if I stand still. Oh, he hooked me. I might die. Never mind. I went invisible. I'm okay. Oh, he's not taking damage. Oh, guys, he can actually be my weakness. I'll just move here. Never mind. Guys, it's effective. Mind you, I have 0 survivability mods. My only source of survivability is being invisible. And I'm missing 1 mod and 1 arcane. So, Vauban got reworked. These are very minuscule changes that just made him slightly better to use. Now, let's rip the band-aid clean off. If you didn't like Vauban then, you still won't like him now. This isn't a rework, but rather a slight touch-up, so don't get your hopes up. He's a utility frame with DPS abilities that feels out of place. All of his abilities except his third are very stationary and are a heavy setup playstyle. I made 2 builds for him, and the third ability build was the most appealing for me, as it made you feel like you're playing Warframe in 2026 and not in 2013 with more effects. So, what are the major changes? His passive is still pretty much the same, but any electrocuted enemy will benefit towards Vauban's passive, which grants him a 25% damage multiplier to incapacitated enemies. Tesla Nervo's status chance now scales with strength. Unfortunately, the worst thing about this ability is the overall scaling of its damage, and the fact you need to hold and charge to throw out all 4 balls. They could have made this a tap-hold function. It would have made more sense. It just feels like it's slowing down the pace of the game. Other than that, the main changes were to his Mine Lair, which is now a tap-hold ability cast. They merged Tether and Flechette, Booster Pad, and Overdrive. Now, there's a problem with this in itself. One cast of the Tether has a limit of 2 enemies, so now you need to cast it 4 times to get the max effect of the ability. The Tether grouping feels out of place when you already have something like Vortex. Hopefully you get what I'm saying. Overdrive only affecting weapons feels outdated. However, his Flechette is still coded as a weapon, so it can take advantage of the buff while the first and the third ability don't. That's the main contradiction. His third ability now got a reduction to its energy cost, increase to its radius by 2 meters, and has a chance to proc the blast status effect. This ability, like Flechette Orb, scales with enemy level and Vauban's passive, but also deals more damage to enemies with Overguard. Additionally, if you have any Vortex enemies, the Photon Strike will be attracted to them, and if there's more than 1 Vortex, it will prioritize the first Vortex placed. However, this ability feels clunky to use. It doesn't drop where you want it to drop. Sometimes it doesn't even deal damage or even appear if you cast it too fast. Man, if only they have players to test these things beforehand. Oh wait, that's us. Lastly, the fourth ability. Not much has changed, but now it has no enemy cap. Finally, you gain more armor from it, and the Bastille armor strip applies to all enemies in Bastille's range, not just those immobilized by Bastille itself, meaning it also strips those ragdolled by Vortex. Now that you got the major changes, let's go over the builds. Depending on what you like to play and how you like to play, either one can be appealing to you. Personally, I'm not a fan of playing his AFK build. You run 5 purple shards and you pair this up with the Tesla Nervos or the Tesla Bank augment, right, for the big kabloomies. It applies electricity, this triggers and allows you to get the bonus damage. Nourish here applies to Flechette Orb and the Vortex buff. Okay, so you're going to do that Radial Sucky Sucky, it applies viral, boom, 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 right? You throw down your Mind Layer with Flechette, your Nervos, applies electricity with the Bank for the big kabloomy. This build works, but it's just too AFK and boring as fuck to play. DE, if you don't like AFK playstyles, why do you fucking enhanced AFK gameplay? You're gonna use the augment Crepuscular because you can go invisible with the shade. The shade is just better than using the dog, right? You got Ghost here that makes you invisible, assault mode, just to have it attack, but mainly it's just Ghost, Guardian, Manifold Bond, and Tenacious Bond also works on the thing. Flechette Orb, when I say the thing. This has viral electricity, so it's just more consistent with your priming. For those wanting Hot Shot, not worth it, to be honest. Range is important, but you don't want too much range because of it's the stupid Bastille and Vortex. The problem with this is that it pulls in enemies and there's no LOS restrictions. So it pulls in enemies and it gets enemies stuck behind walls. So then it messes up with spawns. It just destroys the flow of gameplay. The whole idea of him putting things down and just waiting for enemies to walk in or grouping up enemies is just a boring and garbage playstyle, which if you like this build, play it. I am not going to play this, and I'm removing all the purple shards, and I might actually invest into Photon Strike because it's mobile. It gets things going. Okay, before I show you the build, let's demonstrate the gameplay loop. Now, first things first, you want to press Escape, go to Options, invert tap hold, scroll down to Vauban, put it on inverted. The reason being, for this particular build, I'm going to be using the vector pad to move faster, to give me that movement speed buff, because this is a very agile and mobile build. You're not standing still. It's not the AFK playstyle. It's moving, casting abilities, and things go boom. Okay? We're going to be utilizing Melee Karen for the dodge roll, freezing enemies, and Arcane Circumvent. So when you dodge roll through enemies, you strip their defenses and take it for yourself. So you get armor, and you also get Overguard if you dodge roll into overguarded enemies. Because I inverted abilities, quick tap, I get the vector pad. Also, you can walk into your vector pad and just turn your camera real quick, and you also get the buff. Now, because that I do have Amalgam Serration on my primary, that's additional sprint speed. I'm also using the Praetos, giving more sprint speed, more parkour velocity. And on my secondary, I'm running Amalgam Barrel Diffusion, so I dodge roll faster. So with a buff, I dodge faster, move faster. So whenever you get your movement speed buff, every action is then, of course, sped up, which is really nice. And from a helmet ability, I'm running Roar on the first ability slot because we're not using Tesla Nervos. Second ability for movement, third ability for DPS. This is only useful if you're fighting against acolytes and you want enemies to be closer and grouped up and have a nice armor strip so that when you drop your Photon Strike, you deal bigger damage, okay? Big boy damage. So you can 1 or 2 tap the acolyte with the third ability. Otherwise, shooting the third ability alone into the acolyte isn't so good. For my focus school, I'm running Zenric for this, because it helps me with more ability casting so I don't lose as much energy and also get more energy income. On top of that, I can also use the Tauron Strike buff that I get so I can cast faster and do more damage. Before we start, I'm going to use Hardened Wellspring to give me some energy regen and 25% increase in strength. See that dodge roll right there? Froze enemies, they go kabloomy. And I'm also using the third ability augment, so when you hit 5 or more enemies, your next ability cast will cost no energy. Also, careful if you cast too fast on the third ability. Sometimes the ability does not even deploy or even deal damage. It's just a weird bug. All right, you can see we're moving really fast. Boom, vector pad. Freeze enemies. Good for survivability. Oh, we're filling up our... Oh, look at that. Overguard. Thank you. That delay, holy crap. We technically already have our Tauron Strike charge filled up, so I'm gonna use this. This animation's way too long. All right, now we have the buff. Have a look at this. Look how fast they come down, dude. More enemies, more damage, bigger kabloomies. All right, number 1, Archon shards, 2 casting speed and 3 red shards. We have a total of 200% strength. This gives you 60% on roar, 175% range, which gives you a 12-meter explosion radius on the photon strike. And you get a 50% buff on the movement speed multiplier, and you strip around 20% armor per second. Overall, I do have Energize and Circumvent. However, if you don't care too much about Circumvent and you want to do something else, you can change this to Molt Augmented if you want. We have Curse Projection, PSF, 2 range mods here. Archon Stretch is triggered by my companion. Duration to counteract the negative duration of Transient Fortitude. Prime Flow and Equilibrium for energy sustain, alongside Xeneric and Energize. So we're just spamming nonstop, especially with Photon Repeater and the Xeneric buff. If you hit 5 enemies, your next ability cast, of course the third ability, will not cost any energy. With Inner Might, every 60 seconds, your ability will cost no energy. Again, so primary, Amalgam Serration, and because I'm using the Miter, Neutralizing Justice, if we're going up against Nullifier, this is good. The secondary, Amalgam Barrel Fusion, for the dodge roll speed, and your melee, I do have this for the sprint speed, slide, and the parkour velocity, and make sure to have melee Karen for the freezing. For the companion, I'm using a Hound. These are the parts. Okay, Repo Audit, disarms enemies, Guardian to replenish your shields, Synergize Prospectus to proc electricity, which triggers Archon Stretch. This helps you drop some orbs, so you get more energy with Equilibrium. Manifold Bond to reset the precepts, so it can help you with survivability and spread more status effects. For the weapon, it's modded for viral, heat, radiation, and magnetic. Because we already have electricity on the ability, we don't need to mod for electricity here. So we have a bunch of status effects, really great for any primer build. Anyway, folks, that has been it for me. I do have enjoyed and learned something from this new Vauban builds. If you did, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content, streams, and so much more. Do it for the description. Thanks for watching, and as always, a peace. Bye-bye now.